Hi. So today's video, I hope it's going to be shorter than last time's video, mainly because I have no idea how on earth I'm going to do to edit it and upload it, and why on earth would you watch it. But today's video is on how to cook your books. Socialism edition. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So why did this come from? Excuse me, my sore throat, something annoying you. It's just that I recorded all of the other video and now I'm recording this one, and it's all of this very impromptu because I won't have the time to record ever in like a long time, because next week is going to be hell for me. Hell. December, it's going to be wild. It's wild. Anywho, this came up because someone made a comment in another video in which I was talking about inflation and how much the devaluation had took away the value of money, so much to the point that when I was a kid, I once lost 20 pesos, and with that was the food of the entirety of the week. Now, I could even buy a cheese, a cream cheese of 250 grams or 125 grams with 1,600 pesos. And things have gone wild ever since. But someone very caring, one of those very devoted subscribers, was making a comment and was doing clearly the math from the perspective of what he looked in the internet and was the official currency exchange. On the last video, which was insanely crazy, and I haven't edited it yet, so I have no idea how long it's going to be. I'm so sorry for that. I'm so deeply sorry for that. I am so sorry for that. I explained that currency exchange is completely false. The government makes that currency exchange on purpose. And I briefly explained, I went over very briefly, that one of those purposes, it's mainly narrative. And I briefly mention amongst those narrative moments, a moment in which a minister, or was the chief of ministers, because this man changed careers many times. He's a little bit of a character, Aníbal Fernández. At one point in time, during the government of Presidenta Kirchner, which is the government that it's now living the ruling party, or at least I know that when you're watching this is going to be after the change of Trump had already come. Hopefully everything will be fine. I hope that Milei's still alive. I hope, because the rumors are not indicating that things are going to be fine. I mean, they're already planning a revolution against him before he even takes government. Different topic. Okay. Aníbal Fernández, which was a minister back in the day, or a chief of ministers, he said to the world this brave thing that Argentina, at the time, had less poor people than Germany. This was in 2013? No, 16, 14, 9th of June, 2015. I found that, 2015, all right? 2015, he said, to the question of one of the journalists made, so you say that we have less poverty than Germany itself, because here's the thing, INDEC, which is in your country, or at least in the United States, CIA is the one that's doing the whole numbers things, and it's looking around and it's doing very good keeping numbers, to have an idea what's going on in your country. People don't realize that usually the USA, it's usually worst looked upon because they're honest about their numbers. Like they say, oh, they have a worse situation. No, you're being honest. That's a difference. There's a difference. Now the countries are not honest. So, this on our country at least, intelligence and the statistics aspect are like separated. There is no it could be a statistical aspect because intelligence community has to have a reality, an accurate reality of the situation, but the official numbers are made by an official branch of the government, which is called INDEC. INDEC stopped publishing at that time period any numbers about how many poor people or homeless, or they just stopped counting in 2013. In 2015, a minister of the government said, even if you don't like it, we have less poor people in Germany. And according to them, at that time period, poverty in Argentina, it's less than 5%. Mind you, Germany later on responded to this because they're not dimwits. And they have ambassadors here and like, what the fuck, dude? What did you just made up? This? What did you took this from? Aníbal Fernández explained that he referred, after the backlash, international backlash, to the international measurements that always are lower than nationals, and that they measure questions as structural poverty and not one on the basis of income. Now, why this question of structural poverty versus income? It's so tricky, and so it's something actually affects me quite dearly and annoys me greatly. In many moments of my life, I was considered destitute, or internationally considered would be destitute and incredibly poor. But locally, I was privileged. Because you see, the thing is, you're not considered destitute because your parameters, the ones I was living at, it was not good enough to be considered destitute. And this is a great issue because if you want to have access to certain things like social security or some form of aid that the government may provide to you, you're not eligible for that because you're not considered poor enough. And that affects you. In one of the cases, actually, my mom was actively denied legal aid from the government because she was white, which means she's not a minority of any sorts. She's not Native American. She's not nothing special in that regard. She has above high school. She has her full high school diploma, and in this country, if you have a high school diploma, it's considered that you already know all of the laws of the country. Therefore, you can fancy yourself, which is bogus because we have way more laws than we should, and the proceedings are incredibly skewed. And no one, it's no talk on that. It's just it's so specific that lawyers themselves will not help you if you're outside of their field. Like if they're a penal lawyer, they will not deal with civil. If they're a family lawyer, they will not deal with penal. You know what I mean? If they're a work lawyer, like if they're defending employees, things like that, they do not do the other branches. Why? Because it's so freaking different from one place to another. So if lawyers themselves don't know everything, what makes you think someone with a high school diploma does? Just because we know the Constitution doesn't mean anything, because most of the laws actually go against the Constitution, but that's another topic. So, structural poverty in my country, it is measured in a very questionable manner. And at many points, they will refuse you services, just like many socialist countries, and this is something they don't tell you about socialist or communist countries, is that they purposely change what it means to be poor, so that way they don't have to help you. Not only that, they can qualify you as the enemy, even though you would be eligible for legal aid or for aid in general, like any kind of aid, by their own standards, by their own narrative standards. But not only does the changing in the narrative helps them to look good socially, but more importantly, they don't want to help you. They want to have the benefits of being the leaders without actually having to fulfill their duties as the leaders. I'm not talking about socialist duties. I'm talking duties that you would get in a capitalistic society. Things that you would get, like the right of a free lawyer, is something you would get pretty much in every other country. Not in this one. At least, and if you tell me that here in Argentina that's not true, that was not your experience, good for you, boo-boo. Because let me tell you, in some places, they will outright deny you to your face, telling you the reasons why. That happened to my mom. And I was actually in a domestic abuse situation. So, if anything, narrative-wise, that should have been a very good reason to help a woman in distress. It's not like she was trying to get out of some drug dealing things. No. She was not trying to get out of some drug dealing charges. She was trying to deal with an domestic abuse situation. So, should have been top priority to be helped. But no. So, this government official said that it is not by the line of income as it measured in Argentina before the INDEC stopped publishing in 2013 the information about it. Now, it's not that the INDEC was publishing those data on the basis of whatever the things they wanted to imagine. No, that's an international standard. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, I think it was this one. Yes. Countries based their standards on where are they established, internationally speaking, or what is the income of their people. Low income economies, it's when the capita income, the average income, it's up to $1,085 in 2021. Lower middle income countries, per capita, they earn between per year 1,086 to 4,255. Upper middle income countries are between $4,256 to $13,205. And high income countries per capita, they earn above $1,306 per year. So it's not that the INDEC used to measure things just through income because they wanted to. It's because it's an international standard. And if you want to say to the world and to your country, we have eliminated poverty, you have to base yourself on the same measurements everyone else is using. And that's why some countries, and everyone says, oh my God, how North Koreans say everyone is poor. You don't know what measurements they're using. They will shift the measurements to whatever they like or fancy to say to the people, oh, they're poor. It's the same thing. How they twist with the narrative, the numbers, and cook the books with the numbers is amazing. And whenever the narrative it's going against reality, they will stop measuring reality, or at least officially. About the data that is produced by international organisms, in the vast majority of cases, do not produce their own data, but they take the official information published by every country. This is the website chequeado.com. And in some cases, it is normalized to be able to comparison. So you're going to use the information of each country and just going to try to use all of the same countries' international standards are used to be able to know if we're all on the same page. If everyone measures in a different manner what reading abilities is, then different countries are going to just say, oh yeah, he's able to read. But when you measure it internationally, they're just like, these people are incapable of reading. And do you think that's a random comment? No, that's something that's happening right now in my country. People are literate, but by even standards of our country from 10 years ago, those people shouldn't even be beyond elementary school. They don't even have reading abilities They don't have reading abilities. They don't. It's just a reality. If you want me, I can talk about it in the next video. I might talk about it too, yeah. La FAO, I have no idea which, so I cannot translate that into English, just published a map on which Argentina is below the 5%, just like other developed countries. You see that? But it's not about a map of poverty, but ill nutrition, that the country is below since 1990. Now, why is that important? You see, the thing is, most of children in the country no longer eat at their home. They eat something they call comedor escolar, which is a common dining hall in schools that didn't used to exist. And even then, there's multiple associations that are just charitable organizations. They just feed the poor. And the vast majority of the country eat on those places. What do you think? People were just eating and paying rent with $80? No. No. God, no. No. Oh, by the way, I found the box that had all of my jewelry. So now I'm going to start using jewelry. So yeah, I'm still unpacking from moving out. But the proportion of people poor in Germany, it's much lower to the one in Argentina. That's the reality. So then they start talking about census 2010, which is irrelevant because 2015 already had changed a lot the situation. 17. The Catholic University of Argentina, the closest number that they at the time had, which is, it used to be the most accurate at the time, records, it was about 27.5% of poor people. In Germany, on the other hand, the poverty, it is measured in many ways. The most common is relative poverty. Relative poverty, it means that the population at hand earns less than the 50% of the country. So you do a bell, like the random bell of economies and statistics. 50% is going to be in the middle at the top of that bell. Those who earn less than that are going to be considered poor. Okay? That, according to that statistics, you have an 8.7% of people who were poor at the time. Or at least that means that the rest of the population are above average of that income and the other one beneath that. Okay? It's not the same thing as average, because most of the population are going to earn that middle. Another measurement, it's material privation material. It is published on the official Eurostat, showing that the population of Germany cannot have access to at least 4 of the following items, which is paying their bills, keeping their home adequately warm, facing unexpected expenses, eating meat, fish, or any protein equivalent day in between, having 1 week of holidays outside of their home, a car, a washing machine, a television of color, and a phone. Of all of this, we're not having 4 of them, you're considered poor in Germany. And the amount of people who didn't have that at their hands was 5.3% of the population. Now, mind you, there was a lot of Argentinians who couldn't do a lot of those things back in 2015, and it was well above 5%. So when he used the 5.3% of poor people in Germany, he uses on the basis of the Eurostat, which says that people cannot have access to at least 4 of those things, which is, again, paying their bills, keeping their home warm, facing unexpected spending. How many of you can you truly face unexpected spending, especially if it's quite large? Not many of you, right? Eating meat, fish, or any protein equivalent day in between. A lot of Argentinians gonna do that. Having a week of vacations outside of your home. That's bougie. That's you're wealthy, honey. Car. Most of people I know don't own a car. What for? You have any idea how expensive that is? A washing machine? My family doesn't own a washing machine, and I'm considered luxurious and bougie because I have one. And semi-automatic. A television of color. I don't own a television of color, and I would be considered wealthy in my country. A phone. And if you do not have access to at least to 4 of these things, which I don't have access to a couple, and I'm considered wealthy in my country, or I'm doing well. I'm doing better than most doctors. You would be considered materially restricted, to give it a rough translation. The amount of people in Germany at the time who were like that were 5.3% of the population, of German population. Argentina was claiming that we had 5% of the population that were poor. And they were doing it on the basis of reality of that supposed income that we have. But then when they noticed that there was a bit of a backlash, because the German ambassador, I do remember at the time, was like, what? 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 You serious, right? Only in your city I see way more people that are poor than in all of Germany. What are you talking about? Nah. So, yeah, after that they just had to backtrack on that one. El organismo citado por Fernando publica estadísticas oficiales en el Statistiker Bundesamt estimates the population risk of falling into poverty was 16.2%. That means that the percentage that earns less than 60% of what the average people earn. And that was a point in our history. I couldn't find what the German ambassador answered back in the day. Yeah. I'm still finding, I haven't found what the ambassador responded to that, because it was hilarious. But yeah, that was it. The thing is, if you don't have a good memory, everything can be twisted, and people don't realize how easily. Oh yes, this is from. Okay, this is from El Diario.es, which is a Spanish journal, but they were following very up close. They follow very up close all of the things that happen in Latin America. Argentina brags at having less poor people than Germany. Not says, brags. Brags. Braggadocious. And then people wonder why there was a change in the voting system. Its chief of cabinet, thank you, they reminded me of what positions he was holding at the time. He was the chief of cabinet. He has rectified his data, and he has said, as an example, Germany, to which it's not going through a good time, according to him, has a much higher percentage of poor people than we do. What he hasn't clarified is that the Argentinian government is what the formulas to measure poverty are radically different between the two countries. In Argentina, these statements have unraveled, once more, a turmoil due to the questioning there are over the official statistics. AKA, we're not dumb. We know you're lying. What are you doing? Why are you doing this again? So this was on June 2015. And this is why, one of the reasons why they have an official exchange rate and an external and internal exchange rate, which is the true one. Because this is the thing, international groups and organizations, they're going to use the official data. They're going to use the official numbers, which to me, it's a big mistake, but whatever. And that's why usually those same groups tend to have a lot of people who study a lot of theory, but they do not do a lot of practice. They tend to view socialist countries as a paradigm of what you should do in life based on official data, which is very easily cooked. Very easily cooked. So, my word of advice, trust no one. The truth is out there. Do your own research, but please bear in mind that if you're going to do your own research, there is official data and there is official data. And the sad thing is, inside when it comes to currency exchange, one big example, if you Google from outside of our country, you're going to find very easily the official exchange rate. But if you Google from inside of our country, you're going to find officially published by the government, the official exchange and the black market exchange, side by side. And those two have a purpose. One of them to have a grip on reality, and the other one to modify reality. That's socialism to you, baby. Yeah. So yeah. I hope you're all staying safe. And it wasn't a short video, I'm so sorry. But it was shorter than the last one. Hopefully. I will see how I'm going to edit this to make it shorter. I hope this has helped you somehow to be more enlightened about this, to see how the narrative can be upside down in your head and how reality can be used against you. So yeah, best of luck. Wishing you the best. Stay safe, healthy, and somewhat sane. I'm not going to expect much. So, till next time, bye-bye.